بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Welcome. So, I just found new evidence that Islam is true. Alhamdulillah, Islam is true. Undisputably true. New science proves it. New science proves Islam is true. Alhamdulillah. I'm about to become a Muslim because nobody can refute this new, amazing scientific discovery. Watch this.
Is not a cannibal. It's actually performing an amputation, an amputation. In a new study, Florida carpenter ants can be seen to diagnose injuries and perform the necessary surgeries. While most ant species treat injuries by coating them in antimicrobial goo, Florida carpenter ants lack the gland that produces this saliva. Instead, they opt for surgical interventions, biting off areas at risk of bacterial infection. Ants that returned to the nest with an injury on their femur were quickly approached by one or two others, who would gnaw off their leg, amputating it entirely. If the ants were injured on their tibia, they didn't amputate, opting instead to try and lick the wound clean, leading to a 15% reduction in mortality. Researchers believe that this has to do with ant physiology. An ant's femur has large muscles that present a lot of tissue for microbial infection. The tibia, however, does not, meaning ants can try less extreme treatments. Amputation takes about 40 minutes and obviously isn't done under any anesthetic. That one's kind of a stretch.
You should feel bad.
If you like science and tech breakthroughs, follow for more. This ant is not a cannibal. It's actually performing an amputation, an amputation.
You see? This, you might wonder, what the hell does this have to do with Islam? Well, I tell you what it has to do with Islam. Solomon talked to the ants. He could talk to ants. And Solomon was also very knowledgeable when it comes to science. Where did he get this idea from? From the ants. It all makes sense. Don't believe me? Look in the Quran. It says, chapter 27, verse 18. Until when they came to the valleys of the ants, a she-ant exclaimed, O ants, enter your houses. May not Suleiman and his armies crush you unknowingly. Why unknowingly? Because Allah knew that one day people understood that Suleiman would not do this knowingly, because he knew that they would use surgery, and he learned surgery from the ants. The tafsir says that he had been taught by birds, right? We have been taught the language of birds. He talks to other animals, right? Like the ants. One of the ants said, "O ants, enter your dwellings, let Suleiman. Suleiman, peace be upon him, understood what the ant said. So he smiled, amused at her speech, and said, My Lord, grant me the power and ability that I may be grateful for your favors which you have bestowed on me and on my parents, and that I may do righteous good deeds that will please you. Understand? He he was taught how to become a surgeon because he was able to speak to ants. You don't believe me? Well, look at this. Look at this. King Solomon was renowned not just for his wisdom and literacy achievement, but also for his extensive knowledge natural sciences. Right? Understood plants, animals, narration of bird species of fish, right? Curiosity and expertise. This means absolutely that when he saw the ants perform amputation, he became the world's first surgeon. Alhamdulillah, Islam is true. I'm about to take my Shahada. Now, for anybody who wonders if I lost my mind, no, I have not, but this is how retarded Muslims are. And I promise you that we will hear this argument from Muslims coming forward. It would not surprise me because there are plenty of other so called stupid miracles of Allah, and Muslims actually, actually making articles about it. Like, for example, the one when the hadith where it says that Muhammad said dunk the soup in the fly, right? I actually had a Muslim telling me about an article, and and I want to show you this beautiful article. Okay, this is where is that stupid article? I have so many articles for you guys. This is amazingly stupid, but there is a lot of dumb things when it comes to Muslims trying to actually prove. They actually try to prove that somehow, somehow, this this miracle of Muhammad is true. Like the housefly, dunk it into the soup. Anyway, look at this article. Look at this article. So this is the right wing of fly, Musa domestica, as a neutralization of drinks contaminated by microbe. Of course, these people go to the Darussalam Guntur University in Indonesia. If you just want to know what Indonesia this university is, this is the University of Indonesia. Is Darussalam University of Indonesia. Does this look like amazing things? Look, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Islamic philosophy. Okay, so let's see what the Islamic philosophy actually says. Rasul Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, if a fly falls in the vessel, any one of you, let him dip all of it in the vessel and then throw it away. For in one of its wings has the ailment, and the other has the cure. Al Bukhari. This hadith creates controversy because general flies are a vector for the spread of disease from dirty places to food or drinks. Therefore, the research was conducted on right wing of fly. I just wonder how did we know that it was the right wing and not the left wing? Musa domestica as neutralization drinks contaminated by a microbe. This research used the method on complete random design by 5 treatments and 2 repetitions. The treatment was done by sterilizing water, positive control, drinking water added to the bacteria Escherichia coli, negative control, and drinking water contaminated by Escherichia coli bacteria with the addition of 1, 2, and 3 flies or right wings. The researchers began with taking the right wing of fly and continued with the dilution of Escherichia coli culture tubes up to 6 times. And blah, 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 blah. Anyway, here is the important part. Based on research conducted by Ashtiley et al., it is known that there is no growth of bacteria on the right wing of the fly, and on the contrary, there is a growth of bacteria on the left wing of the fly. I, I was like, how would you even know this? So I looked it up, but just for measurements because Muslims showed me this, right? The change amount of microbes with the addition of flies or right wing in time unit. So basically, what they try to say is that when the left wing interacts with the right wing, it neutralizes the bacteria on the right wing. That's basically it. But okay, here is the stupid referent article. Okay, so what he did was he took he took materials and methods, collection of flies, 4 flies, Musa domestica were collected by the left and right wings for each were separated by sterile forceps. By the way, this guy is from National Research Center, Egypt, right? Rahab Mohammed Atta, Microbiology and Immunology Department. This is what they do. This is what they do in the National Research Center in Egypt, right? They want to prove Muhammad right. Preparation of wing extracts. Each fly wing left and right dipped in a sterile label test tube containing 5 milliliters of sterile nutrient broth media. Purchased from Britann BioLife, whatever. Microbiological examination. The preparation of both wing extract was incubated for 48 hours at 37 Celsius. One loopful from each test tube was examined microscopically for investigation of microbial presence, bacteria as well as fungi, and blah 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 blah. Here is the results, right? So he actually showed us that bacteria and fungal growth on the left wing, and on the right wing, that means there's nothing there, right? There's no bacteria fungal growth. Now, honestly, this is a very weird way to actually look at it because you can't really see shit. But basically, here's the discussion. In the latest scientific research, scientists have proved that flies, the greatest prophet told us about the presence of a cure in its wing. Again, he never say left or right, and he didn't say what disease, but whatever. Right? So, if a fly falls down on your vessel, down it, then remove it. For one of its wings have the ailment, and the other has the cure. This hadith means that the fly carries on one of its wings a disease and the other cure from the same disease. When a fly falls into a container drink, it puts forward the wing carrying the microbe as self-defense. Oh my god. All right, sure, self-defense. Imam Ibn Hajar says in his commentary on the hadith that one of the scholars observed that the fly protects itself with its left wing. So it can be deducted that it carries the cure of the antidote on the right wing. It's this amazing, amazing, amazing logic, Islamic logic. Alhamdulillah. I'm about to become a Muslim here. According what was done by Dr. Joan Clark in Australia when she tested 4 different species of fly, a house fly, a she blowfly, a vinegar fruit fly, and the control a Queen Island fruit fly, and found that flies have antibiotics on the surface of its body which treats many diseases. Really? Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Joan Clark, let's see. Hypothesis during drug discovery. Microbiology, Australia. So you can actually. So wait a second here, but on her butt, not on the left, not on the right wing, right? Was on the body. I don't know. Uh, do we just like say that? Oh, because now we can just extract like now because we can see that there are antibiotics on the surface of his body. Therefore, There's no diseases anymore. This is a very very weird thing, and I actually didn't go into the study of whatever it was, Dr. Joan Clark, but I'm gonna say I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that they misrepresented her studies and findings. I'm just gonna go on a limb, and of course they go on and on about more scientific hadith conclusion. From the present data, it could be concluded that the right wing of a fly is considered a new revolution of antibiotic. Okay, guys, I know we had our fun here, uh, and people are gonna tell me, well, show me. Do you have anything that actually tells me that this is not true? Can you please show me anything that refutes this? Otherwise, Islam is true. Yeah, very, very easy. Look at this.
How can a housefly carry so much bacteria when living for less than a month? They may not be here for a long time, but they're gonna make it count by consuming their favorite snack, fresh poop. You see, all organisms have different needs, and what would make us quite unwell because of the high content of bacteria and viruses present actually makes for a tasty treat for our flying friends. In fact, it's so good for them that they lay their eggs inside so that their larvae actually have something to eat when they're born and can grow up to become beautiful flies. Other tasty treats for them include rotting animal corpses, and so it's no wonder that keeping them off our food should fly high on our priority list. We can do this by covering food when it's outside, using fly screens for doors, or using...
Yo, Mohammed, why didn't you just cover your food? Mohammed, Alhamdulillah, why did you say cover your food so flies won't stick on them?
fly traps.
But I wanna show you one very crucial thing. Yeah, Muslim, watch closely. I know it's haram to watch YouTube, but watch closely. Can you see that both wings are dipped in this what do you call it? What the hell do you call these things? A colony or something? Bacteria colony? Yeah, basically both wings are dipped into that bowl, right? And none, like the wings did not actually neutralize like so this bacteria. So Muslims, you have some explaining to do. Alhamdulillah. And then I have another great scientific miracle of Al Islam. Of course, the splitting of the moon. Now, some Muslims, some Muslims want to talk about how the splitting of the moon is kind of like you shouldn't take it too literally or whatnot, but the view of Islamic scholars of Prophet miracle splitting the moon, some people is like, uh, some people like maybe it's a sign, maybe it's not, whatever. But we can say that it absolutely did happen, but maybe not the way we wanted it. And of course, we have the photo of the splitting of the moon by NASA. Here is a beautiful idiot. I don't know if this is troll. This is like this guy is a troll, or if he's actually if he's actually sincere. Like this guy actually wrote this. I'm like, are you for real? Anyway, this is the photo of splitting in the moon that Muslims love to portray. But let's read what this idiot has to say. The theories of formation of craters and cracks of the moon are not realistic. Muhammad splitting the moon is realistic, right? But not this. If you read history, the split of the moon event is discussed in many parts. In this paper, I discussed the origin of cracks and craters of moon. I showed that the craters originated after the split of the moon to cohere its two splitting parts, and this information is likely to be true because the split and craters of the moon are not old to the age of the moon. They are late and not more than 1,388 years ago when the miracle happened in the time of Prophet Muhammad, as the history is saying. The asteroid impact did not form the craters of the moon according to the explanation of formation of the craters because the debris of these asteroids does not exist, which we can conclude that maybe this theory is not true. Wow. So, theories of the moon's origin. Giant impact is the theory of the moon's origin. A Mars sized body collided with Earth about 4.5 billion years ago. The resulting debris from both Earth and the impactor accumulated to form our natural satellite. The newly formed moon was in molten state, but with about a million years, most of the global magma ocean had crystallized, with less dense rock floating upward and eventually forming lunar crust. The crack on the moon. The moon's surface is totally cracked. Totally cracked. Totally. Analysis of the lunar surface reveals that it's far more fractured than once thought. The damage goes far deeper than that, with cracks extending to deeps of 12 miles, 20 kilometers. Wow, really? Rima Ariadeus is one of the several linear rill systems nestled in the highland between Mar Vaporum and Mar Tranquillitatis. Some rolls, such as Valles Squattery, were formed by volcanic eruptions. Other rolls, such as Ariadicus, Aridaeus, are believed to be faults that formed as a result of tectonic activity. Some scientists believe that the linear roll, you know what, this is just boring stuff. I mean, it's if you're interested in it, he's just going through like what the science says here. So let's go through the discussion. NASA was asked a question about the split of the moon, and they said, "Not sure what you are referring to, but the current theory is that the moon is the result of a collision with early Earth and Mars-sized planetesimal. Planetesimal. Early on, when the Earth was completely molten, the heavier elements, yeah, whatever. Uh, however, this theory is completely. This is why I think this guy is just trolling. However, this theory is completely false because there is no evidence on this theory. NASA denied the split of the moon events after scientists agree with the current evidence, scientific fact, and the event of the split of the moon. The theory of that asteroid impact scarred the moon with pits, craters is completely false when we acknowledge the split of the moon. Another evidence about the craters, it is believed that the craters of the moon is late stage of the moon and not more than 1,388 years ago, and the past generation between that did not witness the craters of the split of the moon. So basically, he says it's absolutely false because it originally came from Islam, where Prophet Muhammad, upon God's wish, split the moon into two halves and again rejoins them. The people in the Arabic Peninsula have witnessed this event. It is believed that the craters came from the core of the moon and reached the surface, and they were formed to cohere the two splitting parts of the moon after the split performed a miracle by God. So you have Muhammad splitting the moon in half, and you have the scientific understanding. And of course, because the Quran says the hour has come and split is the moon. Therefore, therefore, science and us don't know what you're talking about, even though they were the ones going up to space and taking photos. No, no, no. Listen to Ibn Kafir where they say the moon has been split and the moon has been cleft asunder. It occurred during the time of Allah's messenger, Alhamdulillah. And it says so over and over. You know, I did some research, not really deep research on this, Just going through this. This is the footage of Apollo, and you said the craters came later, right? So look at this image here. Do you see the beginning of the so-called crack? Do you see that it's not fully cracked? Do you see that it's not a crack at all? There are some little domes out there. There's plenty of little domes out there, right? There's rills in the area. Rills, not cracks. I mean, if the what happened? What happened? Like did the glue stop or something? I don't know. What about like all the craters that you said were formed later? I think what Muhammad did was like he went up to the moon and he's like, hiya, like kung fu, and that's why like there's so many holes. Like it's a punching bag for Allah and Muhammad or something. I don't know. Maybe. I mean this is kind of. I was about to become a Muslim, but then I saw that the crack was not full. Now I know that they say that it was split something and put on back again, but something tells me that it would be taking more than 1,400 years to heal. So I guess like this crack is not really accurate. It should be like still. Think about if you slice an orange and then put the orange back together and glue it. You can make it seem like it never was split, but you will kind of feel like you will see the crack. Here, you're gonna tell me that Muhammad could have put it together without us noticing. Why would he leave this little mark? Just this little mark. Oh, of course, because he knew that one day, Alhamdulillah, one day scientists in NASA, infidels, Americans, would come to space and see the miracle firsthand, and they will think that it's not a crack at all. It's just a rill, and it doesn't go really deep. It doesn't really go that deep. It's just on the surface. So, uh, you know what? I just think I overthink this. Trying to make sense of Islam. It's never gonna work, man. All right. So I have another miracle of Islam. This is the backbone and the ribs. You know, they want to say that, well, of course, in Islam, they say, of course, it comes from the backbone and the ribs. Of course, it comes from backbone and ribs. Alhamdulillah. What do you mean? What do you mean? This is not. This is from consultant dermatologist, Department of Dermatology, Sultana Fatima Specialist Hospital, Malaysia, with a guy in London. Yeah. This papers detail the study of Quran verses 5 to 7 of Surah chapter Al Tariq. A man is created from gushing fluid. But there was another one where it says, I had one about the sperm, the backbone, and the ribs. Where the hell did I put it? It's so many articles. Was it this one? I guess it was this one. So the glorious Quran describes the creation of man, right? Blah 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 blah. Uh, yeah. In the context of this article, 2 points should be made about the above verses. The first is that the seminal fluid, depicted as a gushing fluid, is expelled under pressure. There are two other verses that reinforce this phenomenon. Right? Was he, man, not a nutfa, sperm drop which gushed forth? Does the denier of God not see that he did create the pairs, male and female, from sperm drop which pour forth? Uh, this article discusses mystery hidden in the Quran concerning other aspect of physiology. That is the expulsion of the seminal fluid, which is mentioned in the Quran. But where is the hadith? Sperm, or is it the sperm comes back? Wait, there is one that says sperm is backbone of the ribs. Where is it? Another translation. There it is. He is created from gushing fluid that issued from between the backbone and the ribs. Here it is put backbone of the male and the ribs of the female. This translation is not tenable because the Quran refers to any medical physiology confirms that the gushing fluid is male seminal fluid. Uh-huh. But it comes from the backbone and ribs, right? That's look at this is it. Incidentally, the testes and ovaries are intra-abdominal organs in the fetus and lie on its posterior abdominal wall at the level of the upper lumbar vertebrae. So the testes and ovaries are intra-abdominal organs in the fetus. In the fetus. So they're going when you're a fetus, really? As explained before, herein lie the spine. No, yeah, herein lie. There's a lie. I agree. The spinal centers which mediate emission and ejaculation. The testes descend to the scrotum about 2 months before delivery because the temperature outside the body is more conducive for the so for the volume of the sperms. So in order for this to make sense, all right, they have to go back into when you were a fetus and say, oh, look, now it's between the backbone and ribs. Idiot. It says you were created from a sperm that comes from the backbone and the ribs. Let's see his conclusion. The author would like to emphasize in no uncertain terms that his attempt is an interpretation and categorically denies that this is the only possible or the only correct meaning of the glorious Quran. The Quran is a lot of speech, and only he knows the absolute meaning of is a revelation. Alhamdulillah. But we should strive to search and discover the hidden pearls, especially the scientific ones, scattered within its pages. The Quran is marvelous book of guidance. Yeah, for sure, for sure. And blah, 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 blah. In this article, I explain in detail the mechanic of education. Explain in detail bullshit. This is the way. Like, look, this guy again, like Kadir B. Muhammad. I don't know something in London. Consultant dermatologist. This is what the bullshit these guys do, right? Instead of actually working with medicine, they try to prove Muhammad. And somebody should have. Where was it? I had a great video. Somebody should have just showed him the fucking basic biology of of the human body.
Sperm are produced and released by the male reproductive organs. The testes are where sperm are produced. The testes are linked to the rest of the male reproductive organs.
What did he say again?
Sperm are produced and released by the male reproductive organs. The testes are where sperm are produced.
One more time.
The testes are where sperm are produced.
The testes are where the sperm are produced. And what does Quran say? Quran says gushing fluid from between the backbone and the rib. Okay?
The testes are linked to the rest of the male reproductive organs by the vas deferens, which extends over the base of the pelvic bone, or ilium.
You see? He said pelvic bone. Alhamdulillah, pelvic bone. You see, bone, backbone. That means backbone and the ribs. Islam is true, alhamdulillah.
And wraps around to the ampulla, seminal vesicle, and prostate. The urethra.
The prostate gland, you see, the prostate gland, you see, it goes up like this, and it comes between the backbone and the ribs.
Then runs from the bladder through the penis. Sperm production in the testes takes place in coiled structures called seminiferous tubules. Along the top of each testicle is the epididymis. This is a cord-like structure where the sperm mature and are stored. The release process starts when the penis fills with blood and becomes erect.
You see, blood clot. You see, like a form of blood clot. You see, Islam is true.
Continuing to stimulate the penis will cause an ejaculation. Mature sperm begin their journey by traveling from the epididymis to the vas deferens, which propels sperm forward with smooth muscle contractions. The sperm arrive first at the ampulla, just above the prostate gland.
You see, between the backbone and the ribs, alhamdulillah.
Here, secretions from the seminal vesicle, located next to the ampulla, are added. Next, the seminal fluid is propelled forward through the ejaculatory ducts toward the urethra. As it passes the prostate gland, a milky fluid is added to make semen. Finally, the semen is ejaculated from the penis through the urethra.
You see, Islam is true. Alhamdulillah. This is exactly 100% in correlation with the Holy Quran. Alhamdulillah. How can you deny this? And Islam is so shit. Well, that's all I had for today. I just thought that it would be funny to go through the truth of Islam, because now we know King Solomon spoke to Hans, and he understood amputation from talking to the ants, and now scientists finally discovered that yes, indeed, ants can perform amputation. Alhamdulillah, Islam is true. You don't believe me? I'm gonna show you this again. Look.
Is not a cannibal. It's actually performing an amputation and amputation. In a new study, Florida carpenter ants can be seen to diagnose injuries and perform the necessary surgeries. While most ant species treat injuries by coating them in antimicrobial goo, Florida carpenter ants lack the gland that produces this saliva. Instead, they opt for surgical interventions, biting off areas at risk of bacterial infection. Ants that returned to the nest with an injury on their femur were quickly approached by one or two others, who would gnaw off their leg, amputating it entirely. If the ants were injured on their tibia, they didn't amputate, opting instead to try and lick the wound clean, leading to a 15% reduction in mortality. Researchers believe that this has to do with ant physiology. An ant's femur has large muscles that present a lot of tissue for microbial infection. The tibia, however, does not, meaning ants can try less extreme treatments. Amputation takes about 40 minutes and obviously isn't done under any anesthetic. That one's kind of a stretch.
You should feel bad.
If you like science and tech breakthroughs,
You see, this is absolute proof. I gotta take my shahada now. Alhamdulillah. And by the way, don't forget about drinking camel piss.
I am Dr. Zakir Naik and I drink camel's urine. Can you please drink some camel urine? Since several centuries ago, Muslims love to drink camel's urine. camel's urine. Muslims love to drink camel's urine. What's the explanation? Hadith in Sahih Bukhari, volume 7, number 5686. What's the explanation? Quran. Alhamdulillah, highest glory is Quran, and I am disappointed that Muslims, they put science and logic higher than the Quran. Muslims, they put science and logic higher than the Quran. I am Dr. Zakir Naik, and I drink camel's urine. Please drink some camel urine.
Be like Dr. Zakir Naik. Until next time, Islam is true. Alhamdulillah, Islam is proven by science.